we discussed the hate crime stuff last week, and we were kind of debating back and forth on, what is considered a hate crime, what should be considered a hate crime. And so, I talked about we haven't really talked about like a particular incident about a trans person being harmed or whatever, but because we were talking about it last week, I wanted to kind of shine some light on this particular one because it was particularly heinous and it just happened, like it's happening right now.
You
Um,
said hate crime. You said a hate crime that's happening right now.
well, I don't, it's not considered a hate crime. They literally just released a statement. The police just released a statement about it. So let's talk about Sam Nordquist. And so people the police there in upstate New York are quelling the concerns of trans people on whether or not this was a hate crime. When so basically they found Sam's body murdered in a field in upstate New York. And so since they found this trans tortured body, um everybody is like, oh shit. And this is a trans man. Everybody's like, oh shit, this has to be a hate crime, or this is a hate crime. This is a 24-year-old body that's been tortured and found murdered. And so everybody's like, yo, especially the political climate that we're having right now in the United States. So everybody like, yo, what's happening? So is this a hate crime? Is it a hate crime? Is it a hate crime? And we talked about it last week that um it's up to the particular state to apply the federal act of the James Byrd and Matthew Shepard Hate Crime Act. It's up to them. But the police normally, when there's some kind of investigation going on, the police like to be tight-lipped when they're trying to find when the investigation is going on. But because of the circumstances and everybody is like, yo, is this a hate crime? Do we have something to worry about? Blah, 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 blah. It kind of forced the police up there, the law enforcement up there to kind of quell the concerns. And so they have released a statement talking about, yo, we are in the early stages of this case, and they're saying that because of what's happening in the case, we want y'all to know we understand that it's a understandable concern about this person's murder and how it could be a hate crime, but we are going to disclose to y'all that Sam and his assailants were known to each other and they identify as LGBTQ. At least one of the defendants lived with Sam in the same time period leading up to the incident to happen. So the people who are involved in this are LGBT people who are involved and arrested and charged for murder for this particular person. So they hadn't released anything, but this morning, um, they released a statement saying, no, this is not a hate crime because this is LGBT people who has harmed another LGBT person, and it was not motivated by hate. So this is not a hate crime, and we don't want to talk to y'all about it. Y'all forcing us to do this because y'all turn it into something big and crazy, and it's not that. We have arrested 5 people and charged them with the murder of this person. My thing is, just because they are LGBT people doesn't mean that it's not hate driven. Like, yeah, they're LGBT, but all them other people are white or white passing at the least, and this is a black person. So it may not be LGBT hate, but it can be black hate. So I don't understand how it could you telling me that this is they all LGBT doesn't change that it could be hate driven, especially being that there is a torture element to this. That doesn't make sense to me.
So many emotions. I'm doing everything I can to stifle myself from tearing up and getting extremely emotional because I do want to navigate this conversation with y'all. first thing that comes to mind is the conversation in my response last week about there should be exceptions to the rule and there can be a hate crime within community. Um, I, I use the specific example of LGBTQ people harming other LGBTQ people. I think this is an example where it could be a hate crime. Just because we are members of the same community doesn't mean that it can't be a hate crime. You know, we just talked about Carla Sophia dumbass, and I could see her committing hate crimes against other people of color. I could see her committing hate crimes against Afro Latino people. Just because she's Latino doesn't mean that she can't have hate toward people who identify under that same umbrella. You know, again, so many thoughts. I think I reiterate what I said last week. I think that we should, as trans people, we should be a protected class. I think that this hate crime bullshit should be federal law and not state by state.
No, no, no. It is federal law. It is
Oh, it
federal.
is.
Yes.
I thought you said that that each state gets to determine.
So not so what it what so I want you so there's the laws are acts like they're like the laws on the book. So say that this is you know how people determine whether it is first degree murder, second degree murder, manslaughter. The prosecutor gets to decide what type of murder it's going to be that you're charged with.
Got you, got
So,
you,
and
got
so when there's a hate crime that's potentially involved, when the evidence shows that it's a hate crime, then the prosecutors can say, not only are you charged with this murder, but we're choosing to tack on top of it the hate crime act law, the federal hate crime act law onto this because we believe that this was motivated by hate, the
you.
bias of that.
So, so like any other criminal charges, it pretty much, regardless of what it says federally on the books, it kind of depends on jurisdiction and district attorney and state's attorneys and all of those things, right? The
what
prosecutor.
what they feel they can prove. That's you because you know it's about they want to win the case. So
Right,
what they
right.
feel they can prove. If it's clear as day in the evidence, in your engagement, in the witness testimony that it was motivated by hate, yes, we're gonna tack on this hate crime.
Yeah, okay. So I was a bit confused. Thank you for clearing that up because I know if I was confused, I wasn't the only one. But but even with that, I reiterate my point. I think it's necessary in order for us to truly be able to classify hate crimes, just like you broke down how the legal system works in this country. People they want to win cases. You know what I mean? And I think in order to make hate crimes stick and to make them really become a thing, and it's necessary for them to become a thing because it's so very common. 9 out of 10 times when it's not a proximity crime, it's a hate crime. 9 out of 10 times when it's not a survival crime, it's a hate crime. And I think that we do need to have protected classes. And I think that trans people, we should fall under one of those protected classes. I'm just, this is why I've taken a break. Rest in peace to our brother, Sam Nordquist. Um, Rest in peace to Sam.
He traveled in September to New York to meet his online girlfriend, according to his family. And they moved, he bought a round trip ticket where in September, where he was supposed to fly there in September and come back in October. He never came back, but they still were hearing from him. And then they stopped hearing from him January the 1st and they reported him missing. So that's the details. Like this is
Oh,
somebody he had been talking to online, and then he went out and was was supposed to go out there to meet him, and he did meet him, and he was all good for a while, and he was supposed to come back in October, but didn't come back. And so yeah, um,
wow. I wasn't aware of that. So this goes back to online queer dating, LGBTQ dating again, huh?
yeah.
Yeah.
So this is one of them things where I'm sad about it, of course. I'm numb to stuff like this because it has happened so often. I have worked in creating databases around these kind of things. I have, I have went and uh, identified bodies at the morgue. I just have done this so much that I don't push it past anybody, and I really want to. I hope, like some cases, some recent cases, I hope that they are recording some of the trials and stuff because you get so many more details, and I hope this case is recorded and put on like court TV so I can hear the details of these because it's five people that are arrested. And so it's not like it's just one person involved with this murder torture situation. It's five people. And all these motherfuckers look white. Well, one of them look like kind of Latinx, but they all could be. Because
They're
girl,
all white passing,
they all
regardless.
could be white passing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think the one lady to me looks like she could have a little spice in her blood, but everybody else looks like white passing masculine identifying people to me.
Right. And so for this person to be black, it just the context of this just looks racist and weird. And I just want to know the details. All these people, the five people that was arrested range from ages 19 to 38. So it is three women I don't know their genders, but they from based on their names, their legal names, it's three women and three and two men.
I think of Gwen Arajo, girl. I think of Brandon Tina. I think of all of the people who we have lost so
Situations like that.
so
I'm glad you
so
said
re- so recently. Like, girl, this shit ain't new, and that's why it's necessary for us to be a protected class because you're numb, and I deal with this probably. I probably had a little less experience than you, but I think most people who have had as much experience as I've had, or even less. I think a lot of the girls are numb just like you. I think I'm one of the few that's just not numb completely. And I think that it goes back to what I was mentioning earlier and what I'm considering earlier and why I'm not mad at Cherry and why I'm not mad at people who expose unhealthy relationship dynamics, period. We don't know what happened in this situation, but I could think of a million different scenarios. I could think of, you know, lovers.
drugs,
I could think of
money.
lovers and revenge. I could think of racism, anti-blackness. It's so many things that it could be, but it still could be a hate crime, and I think it should be their burden to prove whether or not it is. I think of Jahara. I think of rest in peace to the iconic Jahara. Her life was taken by somebody who she was housing. One of my published studies, the conclusion that we came up with is that trans people are disproportionately and overwhelmingly in unhealthy romantic and relationship dynamics with family. If you've read all of my studies, then you know those dynamics don't just include romance, but family. And it's possible that a lot of us settle for these unhealthy relationship dynamics or even create these unhealthy relationship dynamics because it's what we're accustomed to, because it's the dynamics that we've grown up in. And I think so much of this toxic humanity has become so fucking normalized.
Yeah. So tell us what y'all think. I'm gonna be following this because I really want to know what it be. It's if it was one person, I can't. It's not that I wouldn't want to know, but because it's five motherfuckers involved in this case, I want to know the details. It makes me feel like a true crime thing where I want to know how did this go down, like And so I'm excited about. I'm not excited about it, but you get what I'm saying. I really want. I'm eager to know what the details was, what their relationships was, because that's what the detective said. He was like, "Yo, they are still trying to work out and understand the relationship between these five suspects." So Make sure y'all check out the case. It's Sam Nordquist. Nordquist. Sam Nordquist. And so check it out, look into it, and I'm gonna be following the case and I'm gonna definitely be talking about it on my YouTube platform. But and especially if it's recorded, I want to hear the details. So tell us what you think. Hashtag Marsha's Plate.
Honey, hashtag MARSHASPLACE. Y'all already know.